Hello and welcome to the Top Bin 90 show, a show dedicated to everything soccer. We talk about MLS, European, and international soccer. Today on the show, we have Lee from CLTFC Fan TV, and we also have Maynard. He is a Belmont Abbey soccer star. Boys, how are you today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Nice. It's been a very active day today, everything going on with deadline day, Charlotte getting our second player being signed, and just crazy weekend in the Prem, too. So we'll be touching on all those topics. How are you guys today?
I'm doing really good. Pulling for Villa.
Come on.
I saw the flag back there. I was going to bring my Aston Villa flag, or even my Everton one, but
okay.
I'll let you slide since I'm in your house.
I can see why you'd be happy about that. I'd be buzzing too. Can't even lie. But yeah, great day to talk about some soccer.
Yeah, nice. So I guess we'll start off with the Premier League. And so I didn't get a chance to catch a lot of games yesterday. I was at a wedding. But every time I looked at those scores, I'm like, what is going on right now? I look at the Man U-Tottenham game, it's 1-4. Then I see it end 6-1. And then I catch a little bit of the Liverpool game. We're down 3-1. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? And then it ends 7-2, and so it kind of makes me question, like, what's going on in the Premier League? Like, this is going to be a very interesting season because I guess defending is non-existent. What do you guys think?
I just have to say, as a Barcelona fan, I'm just glad they got blown out like that. But yeah, it's actually really interesting seeing all these scores. Like, who would have thought Liverpool's down 7-2 against Villa?
Yeah.
I mean, Villa. But and then even Everton pulling through all 4 games they've won so far. So, I mean, we're in for a really good season.
You think they'll be title contenders this year?
That's a stretch. I mean, my boy Hamid is in there pulling the strings in the midfield, so we'll see. But as I was saying earlier, there's this stat. The last time, 4 out of 5 times they've won their first 4 games, they're the Premier League winners. So we'll see.
We'll hope that stat doesn't come true then.
Well, we've already got the screenshot of you saying Spurs win the league, you would shave your head. So just wanted to put that back out there.
I promise you, if Tottenham wins the league, I will shave my head because I'm 1,000% sure it's not going to happen.
1,000%, right? Yes. No, to your point, right? I think lackluster defending so far, man.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, right? It seems everybody seems to be attacking I guess they're following the Liverpool of 2 years ago, right? We're just going to try to outscore everybody, and to be fair to Liverpool, I think a lot of the Aston Villa goals that I saw were a lot of big deflections, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least 3 or 4 of those. So it could have been a completely different game.
Yeah, but I also think, like, we were missing Henderson, we're missing Mane, we're missing Alisson. Key players, but still, that team is good enough. No disrespect to Aston Villa, to beat Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And I just question, like, I don't blame this on Klopp.
Right.
Like, this is 100% down to the players. I'm like, where's Virgil van Dijk? Where's that leadership that he needs to display as one of the main defenders there? Where's Salah? Actually, I wouldn't blame Salah because he scored twice. I mean, he's doing his part, right?
Well, I mean, to be fair to Villa, right, last season, why they were way down there towards the bottom of the league, they were losing games by, like, 1 goal, right, and it was a late score or something like that. So if the luck had gone the other way, they might have been a mid-table, top 10 even.
Yeah.
Where they were at. So
can you see them there this season with Ross
10?
Barkley? And I mean, they started off strong this season.
I can see them top 10. I mean, obviously we're already kind of seeing like West Brom and those sort of teams at the bottom, right? So, so that's gonna be the battle there. Personally, like you see West Ham right now, top 10. They're gonna be 14th, 15th.
Yeah.
To answer your question about Everton, I'd say they'll probably be top 8.
Okay.
So
can you see them breaking into the top 4 at least?
Not this year.
Really?
Next year. I mean, you got to think, right? You're going to have the heavy hitters up there. There's going to be the Arsenal, the Chelseas, right?
Yeah.
The Liverpools, the Man U's, the Cities. Leicester even, right? It's kind of been holding their own. So
yeah. Which, I mean, like, none of these scores, like, you can predict. Like, I was like 1-6, 7-2. Yeah. Even the week prior, Leicester beating Man City 5-2. Right. And then they lost to West Ham this weekend.
Well, do you do the NBC Predictor app by chance?
I don't.
Man, you should do it, right? It's a free thing in the NBC office, and if you get all the scores right, you can win $50K. But I'm never, not even close. people that pulling scores like saying Leeds are going to beat Man City or tie with Man City. I was like, that's not going to happen, and of course somebody does it, and that's it, man. So what's your input, man?
You got me at that 50K. I'm gonna have to download that.
He didn't care until you said 50K.
I was zoning out. I heard 50K.
Talking about 50K.
Yeah. Now, as far as I think there's a little bit of a double standard people are saying in terms of Man United got rocked 1-6. They lost a player. But everybody's going heavy on Ollie. Versus Liverpool, they're like, okay, this is more of a one-time thing, and I kind of agree with that mindset because the only game that Man United has won in the Prem this season has been the game that they had to have that last-minute penalty after the game was over, right? That's the only W they have. Versus Liverpool, they've played Leeds, they won. They've played Arsenal, they've won. So this game, I would write it off as this isn't going to happen again. So I would still hold them as title favorites. But I want to see the next 6 weeks how this team reacts. And there's no better way to react than the Merseyside Derby. And so even Mane said today, he's like, okay, we'll show you what we're really about, which I'm like, honestly, it might be a good thing that they got hammered. So they make sure that, yeah. What are your thoughts?
Definitely picking up on that Man U game. I think if you have a defender like Harry Maguire with 70 mil.
Yeah, they paid 80 for him.
It just can't happen. It's been happening week after week. So it's just something's got to change. And then to be fair, they did have a red card, but it was an attacking player. So in that case, what I'd do if I was manager, I'd just park the bus, try to get the best result, get a tie.
100%.
They were already up 1-0, or I think they were tied when he got the red card. Or
it was 2-1. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right, man. It was a offensive player. It wasn't like they lost somebody in the back, which I get that. Yeah. And Mourinho's teams aren't really known for being super attacking. So
Mourinho's thing is on the counter, right?
100%. Yeah.
So to your point again about Man U, right? They really haven't done anything, right? In my opinion, Man U's kind of on a downhill.
Yeah.
They lost Fergie, right? They had the clout to bring in some big players, but what have they done? They haven't really done anything, right? Other than winning the Europa when Marino was in there.
Yeah, when they won the Europa League.
Other than that, they haven't done anything. And then they go out and try to get somebody like Dembele, which is why, right? It's a panic buy, in my opinion.
One hamstring.
Yeah. It's a panic buy. And that's not even plugging their problems, right? Like you said, right? It's the defenders. 80 million for Maguire.
And he's average at best.
He's average at best, man. He had one good World Cup, right? He was doing decent at Leicester. And then here we are, right? And they're just struggling. So.
Yeah, which it goes to show you, too, I think, how important, fine margins are in the Premier League.
Sure.
If you look at, Arsenal with Arteta, they won an FA Cup. There's a certain positivity about the team now. And today they get Thomas Partey over the line, right? Yep. So you can kind of see a progression there, and here, Aubameyang is staying.
Yep.
You can kind of have that pull with
the holes, right?
Yeah, with players versus at Man U, okay, they got Bruno in, but then who else is a big star that's coming in? They're signing Cavani, but that's not really
not what they need.
Yeah, they signed a defender from Porto, Tuteis, but we don't know what he can do.
He's a left back, right?
Yeah.
So. But yeah, to that point again, right? It's Man U seem to be buying players to appease the fans. Right?
Yeah,
they're not buying players to fill these holes. Sorry to kind of harp on Spurs, but right, we knew we lost Eriksson. We needed a winger right up top.
Yeah.
So we went out and got Bell on loan, but hopefully he comes in for it. But we needed some defenders, right? We picked up the left back Sergio from Real Madrid. Yeah, right. He looks like a really solid player. And then obviously, we got Son and Kane up top. So
add Lucas Moura in there. Add Lamela.
Too, right? So I feel like we got a strong team and a deep team now versus.
And they just signed a new striker too.
I forget his name.
He's a Brazilian guy, Carlos something.
Yeah.
I think he was at Atalanta before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forget. I should know. Shame on me. Right? But I've been keeping up with Charlotte FC, right? So it's it's hard to keep up with the news from all over the world. Man.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot of things going on. Even so moving on to that topic of Charlotte FC too. I mean, it's kind of surprising. Today is deadline day in Europe, and we going I feel like out of nowhere we sign a player.
Yeah, we were not knowing, and then obviously he's loaned out to Birmingham, which is not a bad choice on Charlotte's. Decision making there, in my opinion. The Champions League or Championship is pretty strong league. I put it on par with the MLS for sure.
It is, and to have two different players already signed and they're playing in, I mean, it's not the top leagues, but you got one in Spain and you've got one in England. That already shows you what we're trying to do. And I mean, I think Sergio's 26, and his name just Riley. Yeah, he's 21. I mean, I like that he's young, right? Because the kid could have more potential. Right, so what are you looking forward to, Minor, with these signings?
Well, I've been thinking about the Charlotte FC team a lot, and honestly, I thought we'll probably be an average team at best, first season in the MLS.
Yeah.
But then seeing them pick out these names, their new signing, you said his name was Riley. He was nominated for the Puskas Award.
Yeah, that was a sick goal.
Yeah. Giroud-esque. He's just like that Giroud scorpion kick. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys a question then. Say, is a 3-year time frame to win an MLS Cup or a Supporter Shield, is that an unrealistic expectation, or do you guys think we can do it? Given the success teams right off the cuff have had, like Atlanta United and LAFC, who have done big things, you guys think we could get that done in a 3-year time frame?
I definitely think it's possible, especially if we keep getting pretty good signings. He's our new signing. He's 21 years old. He definitely has something to prove, and from what I've seen, he can ball. So if we keep bringing in players who have something to prove, want to play well, show out for the team, I think it's possible.
Yeah, my take on it is we got to do one better than Atlanta, right? we just have to. Tepper came out the gate, right? And caught Atlanta out. So that I don't know if that puts pressure on us or not. I'd say what they've done with the backroom staff, and what they're doing with the academy and the scout network we got going on, all the pieces are there. Right?
Yeah,
Glick coming from when he did New York, and then obviously from City, so he should have contacts. He should know what it takes to at least build that spine, right?
100%.
So
that's a good point.
Hopefully, with enough. Obviously, it doesn't matter, right? You could have all the best players in the world and they could lose, right?
Yeah.
But I just feel like we got to do better in Atlanta.
Okay.
So wherever that is, 2 years.
I definitely think we're on the right track. I mean, the excitement that we have for a soccer team here, that it's still a year and a half away.
Well, we were starving for a soccer team. So long, man. So long, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so you have fan enthusiasm, which is good. It looks like they're making good moves for the most part,
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, it's hard to say with 2 players.
Yeah.
I think once I can see an 11, and I can say, okay, an 11 plus a coach.
Well, see, that's the big thing, right? It's the coach, right?
Yeah.
We're plugging in these holes now, right? And currently with the 0-0-2-0 formation, right? But, it's like with the coach, you got to, that's why I'm a big fan of the coach being involved in the transfer market. And obviously Charlotte's a different situation with COVID and everything, but there's got to be some kind of talk. These are my top 10 players that I want, right?
Yeah.
Versus somebody else getting them and saying, "Well, here you go, have at it," right? So, I don't know. So now they're gonna have to find that coach that prefers the style of play that these players are getting. Does that limit us on the coach that we can get?
That's a really good question, man. Because
a lot of different parts to this, right?
Yeah, because most teams so they have sporting directors and they have a coach, right? And I think the coach plays a big part in terms of the signings. But I'm like, we're getting signings. I guess that would make sense why there hasn't been that many signings, because we don't have a coach. I feel like maybe that would be the next step instead of trying to find players. I get finding players, but if you don't have a coach that gels well, kind of like Frank de Boer at Atlanta, it wasn't a success for him. And now Homeboy's leading Netherlands, which is wild to me. How he went from Ajax to, I think he coached at Palace, didn't win a game, came to Atlanta, didn't do great, and now he's coaching Holland.
Well, I appreciate what he did in Atlanta. You know, I'm thankful that he caused them to be a losing team.
I thought you were about to give me something serious. I was like, really? What are you doing?
Straight from the heart, man. Straight from the heart, right? We're screwing that city. We say that many times. But, yeah, I mean, so most of Europe, except for the Premier League, they seem to have the technical director, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, even if you have the technical director, normally the teams are mature enough to where the manager or the technical director and the coach can say, all right, this is our weak spot, right? We need to fill this left back or this, you know, striker position. And then they kind of work together and figure out what they need. But it's so new, right, with Charlotte FC.
Yeah.
Are we just, you know, I'm sure they have a plan, right?
100%, yeah.
Big bucks, but, you know, it's just getting those people that can play together in a system that the coach enjoys to coach and teach and just develop. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of pressure coming that first year. You know, we're all hyped.
It is
Charlotte for sure.
Which is, I think I'm in the minority when I say that. Like, I wish we would have went ahead and started in 2021, just because. I mean, even if we have a bad season right from the get go, like at least we have the nuance of the league. Like, you understand, like you throw in players, but I think nothing is going to guarantee us that in 2022 it'll be any different. So I'd rather pull it like a year further ahead.
Well, we would have an excuse, right?
Yeah.
It's like COVID screwed us, man, right? You know,
yeah.
So, but sorry, I was going to say Orlando, right? They've been in there eight seasons now, right? And you know they started off kind of wish-washy, and to me, they're the team to watch for this year. I think they're going to do something with Mueller in there. He's a solid player, right? And, you know, obviously they got Nanny and that kind of stuff, but you know they came out strong from the MLS's back. You know, and they've kind of kept that momentum going, and they're doing pretty good, you know. And then, obviously, we got teams like DC United, right? That just terrible. So,
and they have a young striker named Dyke too. He played.
Daryl DK, I think.
Yeah. Him.
He's nasty. I actually saw. I think he was the second strongest player on FIFA.
Really? Yeah. Are you serious?
Behind like Akin Fenwa.
Okay, Aki Fenwa, yeah.
That's kind of crazy to me.
Dang, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really? I've seen him.
He was like a 98 strength.
For real?
What's that fella from Wolves? What's his name?
Adam Troy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He used to play for Barca too. Yeah, like I saw him when like in like the youth league games, and he was like a skinny little kid. And
he said he never really lifted heavy weights like that either.
Nah, I think he's lying.
Definitely cap.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Let's touch a little on La Liga then.
This is my weak spot. Let you guys talk about that.
Yeah. So we had some interesting games this weekend. You know, Barcelona tied. So did Atletico. The Real Madrid game escapes me, but I believe they won, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be an interesting La Liga too. Atletico started strong, but now they're not looking so good in my opinion.
I don't know, that Luis Suarez signing.
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought he was kind of on the like coming down.
Yeah.
But he had a pretty solid debut. I think 2 goals, 1 assist.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes. He's looking really good there. And I know they just picked up Lucas Torreira.
Yeah. From Arsenal.
So that's going to be Thomas Partey's replacement.
Yeah.
In my opinion, not that good of a replacement.
Yeah. It's kind of like they did a kind of a swap because he's on loan deal, but Arsenal went ahead and signed Thomas Partey, and so I think Torreira is a very Diego Simeone kind of player, bro. Like that, like Uruguayan, like okay, like just make the game uncomfortable for everybody kind of player. And so, what are your thoughts on Barca this season, bro?
You know, after that 8-2 from Bayern, that loss, can't get that out of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? I mean, they spanked Spurs 7-2. You know, it's just like,
yo, they got a thing with the London teams, man.
Man, it's the food.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the formation that Koeman's been playing with, and he's using Messi as a false 9, and I think it's good. But at the same time, like, bro, we need somebody that's going to be, like, kind of a killer up top. And we don't have that.
Ansu Fati, for his age, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
And then Coutinho's been picking up some slack, too. I think he came back a lot better from that loan to Bayern.
Yeah, man. Everybody that goes to Bayern comes back, like, super buff, bro. Have you seen that?
I wonder what they're giving them. I think it's the beer. It has to be the German beer.
Dang, watch after Oktoberfest, they'll all be super.
Well, we're talking about Barcelona Day, right? We had the first American start, or not start, but at least play, right?
Yeah, Sergino.
So I would say with the MLS, man, I feel that we've kind of gone from that retirement league now to that selling league, right? And
we're getting up there, which is really good. I think it's interesting to see what we're doing now, but the only thing I want to see is a year or two from now if this continues to happen, because you have golden generations, you have things that happen, but like when you think of consistently selling, you think of France, you think of Brazil, you think Argentina, you think of the Netherlands, right? So like this is the beginning, right? So I want to see this next year and the year after that, right? So is this really going to continue to happen, right?
Personally, I think at some point, right? So it's good for the men's national team for sure, right?
Yeah.
These guys getting the exposure of the big, like, pressure cooker leagues, right? My hope is that at some point, some of these guys decide to stick around in the MLS.
Yeah.
Right? Because then that will help elevate the MLS, hopefully bring more of a worldwide attention to the league. My thoughts would be kind of try to drop the salary cap at some point to be able to pay these guys what they can make in Europe.
Yeah.
And then to what you were talking about earlier today about the promotion relegation / whatever the question was that we always disagree on things.
We really do.
I know, but you're still my boy, man. So,
Well, that's what I love about soccer. Like, I mean, like at the end of the day, we all love the sport. So our objective is to see the game get better, and we all have different opinions on how that can happen.
Yeah. So, to me, I think it's great for the national team. I don't know how long sustained it will be good for the league.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like bringing in the talent and then selling them off, right? It's just kind of like being like an Ajax. Right?
Yeah.
It would never get any good. You just plateaued.
Yeah.
I'm all for all these young stars staying in the MLS. Like you said, it'll definitely bring more exposure.
Really?
But I think it's just kind of tough. Just like that Ajax team, like all their stars, they left. Like, I know it sounds kind of selfish, but you have to think about your personal career. And then, to be fair, they do have
100%
a better chance.
That's why I don't know why Kane's still at Tottenham.
All right, guys. Well, COTFC fans, I'm out, please. Anyway, with that being said, put it on the contract. And
that was good.
Ajax, right? I mean, some of these teams, that's their business model, at least outside the MLS, right?
Yeah.
Because the MLS, you kind of buy into the MLS, not the team per se, right?
True.
Where these teams in Europe, they have to stay afloat, right? And how do they do that? Southampton's a solid one, right? They have to sell off players, so they can keep paying.
Southampton, aka Liverpool B.
Yeah, Theo went back there today.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's all these circle back home kind of stuff.
Yeah, Theo Walcott.
And I'm glad Bell decided to come to our house and not to their house, right? Because that's where we got him from. So.
Yeah, but they don't have the clout that Tottenham has. So
no, of course not. I mean, it's the greatest team in the world, right? So
okay.
Winning the league, folks.
Debatable.
Yeah,
very debatable.
Still waiting on that Arsenal fan there to show up and take me up on that bet on that first episode, right? Everybody bailed out on that. But yeah, so again, I think money rules the roost, right? Obviously, these guys, around 31, 32, that's the end of their career, right? So they got to make the money while they can. But thinking long term for the MLS, it's good to sell them off and it's good for the national team. But overall, I feel like at some point we got to maintain and want people to come to the MLS versus leave.
It's an interesting topic, and I disagree with you about having them players stay because I don't think we'll ever be as good as the Prem or the Bundesliga.
But those leagues have many years of that growth, right? I mean, look at back in '94, like when MLS started.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crap, right?
100%.
It was like those, like when we talked to Alexi this weekend. He said there was really no team for the national team in the '94 World Cup.
A lot of it was the college players, right?
Yeah, they weren't even playing together. They were they took 2 years and went up to some campus somewhere and just kind of practiced for 2 years, and that was.
Isn't that wild?
And they made the World Cup, right?
Yeah, they got out of the group stage.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a success in itself.
Oh, for sure.
And but the only thing I think is you don't really know the caliber of the players, I think personally, unless they leave those leagues. Like, you don't know. You wouldn't know if Luis Suarez would have been Luis Suarez if he didn't go from Ajax to Liverpool. You wouldn't know if Frankie's good enough to. So you always question these players to see if they're good enough, and if they stay in those leagues, you'll never know if they are good enough or not, because I guess the proving ground is when you go to one of the big clubs.
Is that right though? Because I mean, Messi.
Right?
He stayed in one club.
Yeah,
right?
but Barca's a big club.
Yeah, but so he's had all these players around him, right? He's had good players around him pretty much his whole career at Barcelona, right?
But he's still the main guy.
For sure. But my point is you mentioned like you have these players have to leave and go to like Liverpool or wherever, right?
Well, I'm talking in terms of like smaller leagues, because technically we would still be considered a smaller league, even if we had great U.S. players. We wouldn't consider them great, because our perspective of like we're more excited about the players that are playing at Dortmund and at Barca and at Juventus than we are of any players playing at Red Bull, playing at LAFC, right? Why? Because they're at big clubs. So that perspective.
Big club though, right? That kind of goes back to what we were talking about.
The history, the fan base, all of that, right. Which is nothing that we have.
No, because I mean, in regards to the MLS, we're still in our infancy, right?
Yeah.
So, so what happens, right? We start becoming, if we can attract more of the bigger players, keep the bigger players, it makes the league more competitive. I would hope at some point they will do away with the playoff thing and actually go to a promotion relegation.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's many years down.
Yeah, like even when I ask these questions, I understand the limitations of our leagues. Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's something that we need to consider. Like, how do we make our league better, right? Yeah. And so, Maynard, I have a question for you, man. Which one of our U.S. players do you think right now, outside of Pulisic, because to me personally, I think he's world class. He's showing that he's going to be world class, right? Then you got Serginho at Barca now. You got McKinney at Juventus. You got Reina at Dortmund. You got these players that are very exciting. Which one of these kind of young talents do you see kind of being one of the best, or the next, I guess, not next Pulisic, but right up there with him?
I'm going to have to say Gio Reyna.
Yeah.
He came off this weekend with hat-trick of assists. Pretty big. And, I mean, he's in a more of attacking position. So, let's just say Serginho, he'll be a little bit more behind. Like, I'm not saying he won't have an impact, but numbers talk. Like, stats don't lie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll put up really good numbers. And then that's just going to bring up his clout more. So, I'm pretty sure he'll have, like, the best season numbers-wise.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with you with Reina, man. And I think he's been at Dortmund for a couple of years now, too. So he's kind of accustomed to that team. And, like, I feel like slowly, like, players are looking at him and, like, having a hat-trick of assists. Like, okay, like, your name's going to be other people are going to start talking about you.
Yeah, he's getting confident. I heard he came out and said, like, whenever it comes to the men's national team, like, he wants to be the 10. So he's
I love that. Yeah.
Go play on.
Well, think about that, like, because, like, if you think of, like, like, even the Belgium team, like, the Belgian league isn't the strongest league, but, like, they were stacked in the World Cup. They got Kevin De Bruyne. They had
such a baller, though, man. Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, they had him. They had Eden Hazard, Lukaku up top. They had, like, the team was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the type of thing that I think the U.S. can get to, where we don't necessarily have to have the best league, but we have one of the strongest national teams. Netherlands doesn't have necessarily the best league. Belgium doesn't have necessarily the best. France doesn't have necessarily the best. Right. But guess who won the World Cup? France, right?
That's because I had Hugo Lloris in goal.
Yeah. Is he a top 3 goalkeeper in the world?
He's a good shot stopper, but I just think sometimes there's parts where you go,
all right, really? That was a testing question to see if you would be real or not.
I'll be real, man.
Okay.
Yes, he's a top 3 goalkeeper. But right, no, I don't know, man. As goalkeepers, this, because what's the fellow at Man U, De Gea or whatever,
David De Gea,
yeah, right. He's supposed to be a top player, man, but I don't know.
He's gone down in recently.
I don't know if I rate him,
Yeah.
The fella that went to Sheffield last year,
Dean Henderson.
Baller.
Yeah, he's good.
If it wasn't for him, I think Sheffield would have had a horrible time.
Yeah.
I don't rate Pickford.
I don't think so.
Who is the top 3 goalkeepers? Who do you think?
I think number 1 is Alisson right now. Number 2, no, I'm sorry, I lied. Number 1 right now is Manuel Neuer, because he he dipped a little bit the last couple of years, but then he came back, and I mean, in the Champions League final, he played a key role in Bayern winning. He's consistently been playing great again, along with Thomas Mueller. So I would say he's number 1. Number 2 is Alisson right now, and number 3 I think is Ter Stegen.
Okay. I was waiting for you to say Ter Stegen.
Yeah, he's one of the best, bro. I mean, and not because I support 2 of those 3 teams, but like.
He's just crazy good with his feet too.
Yeah,
and it helps that he's at Barcelona, so like you need that from a keeper.
Yeah,
but it's just like left foot, right foot. It's rare when you see him give it up like that, but I think that definitely helps.
But that's like the style of play nowadays. It seems, right? Like we kind of talk about these crazy scores, but a lot of people like you got the sweeper keeper, so the defense is playing that high line, right? And then all it takes is a quick pass, right? And somebody fast, like Salah, for instance, he's quick. And he reads the game well. So a quick ball through the middle, they're in and they score, right? And it's like defending. The art of defending seems to disappear, and then obviously the goalkeepers is just getting left stranded. So, I think it's just weird the way the game's turning. It's almost like an MLS team now.
Yeah. Do you think it's the defending, or do you think it's just the attackers who are just like? It seems to be it's almost pace abuse, like they're playing FIFA. I don't know. There's just so much you could do to defend that. Like if you're going up against Sadio Mane, who's super fast, like super good on the ball, like there's just only so much you can do when it comes to defending.
I think the problem is a lot of these teams want to play like attractive soccer,
high pressure,
and that high line, and like you can't be doing like week in and week out. You can't do that, right? I think there's certain games like. Obviously, like this Aston Villa game surprised me, but I'm not surprised at how that team scored because I know that's how we play. Bayern play like that, and they got found out last weekend too. They lost 4-0, right? So you're exposed to that when you play that kind of soccer, and I honestly don't think there's a lot of great defenders out right now. You have Virgil van Dijk, you have Sergio Ramos. Piqué's not as good as he was before. I'm gonna keep it real. And then it's very hard for me to think of other, like, Laporte is really good, but, like, you can't, like, just off the top of your head name defender after defender after defender, right?
Yeah, but it used to be, at least, again, in the Premier League, right, they've kind of, now I feel like the Peps and those kind of coaches or managers that got into the game, they're bringing that kind of Spanish league style over
Tiki-taka,
to England, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so they're doing the high pressure, right?
Yeah.
Bring the ball back. City was really good at it, right?
Yeah.
And before, where it used to be kind of like the long ball, kind of park the bus kind of deal, where you put the big defender in the back to head it and win the headers and that sort of thing. But now it's more technical, like you were saying, right? So you press up on that guy, quick flick and a pass to somebody and another pass, you're done.
100%.
So, I feel like, me personally, the way the Premier League is changing in regards to style of play, I feel is the reason, we're seeing these crazy scores here recently. There is no defending whatsoever.
Yeah. And someone was telling me that, like, the MLS gets flack for having bad defense, but they're like, European is kind of doing the same thing now, too. What are your thoughts on that, Maynard?
I'm just standing put with, like, I think the attacking is just, like, getting better every time.
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of, like, strikers. They're just really smart with what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I see most of the goals nowadays from strikers, like, when they go to shoot, you see it go through the defender's legs. And then, so it's just, like, I think they've just, like, upped it up a bit. Yeah. Obviously.
And, like, before, like, you could go drink and smoke and then go play soccer. Like, now, like, they take it very serious, their health and everything. And it's just that everyone is so fit. Right.
And then for players' age, like, they have to take really good care of their bodies because they're training, like 2 times a day maybe?
Yeah.
1 game a week.
Yeah.
So you have to be up.
You know what? I think what Messi and Ronaldo did is they created such a high standard that, like, no player's going to get there, but everyone's level is raised, right? Right? Like, when you saw that Salah season that he had where he broke the Premier League goal-scoring record, like he was putting Messi-esque numbers at that time. And I think, like, Harry Kane has did the same thing, winning multiple golden boots and stuff like that.
So let's kind of change the thought for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about these high-scoring games and the defenders having a hard time. do you feel like VAR has anything to do with this, right? Before, you could hold a player's jersey, hold them back.
Yeah.
Might go unnoticed. Or
it's a great question, yeah.
Kind of trip them. But now, you've got all these cameras looking on you, and if there's a questionable call, it goes straight to the booth, and then you've got the chance of a yellow, red card, right? So,
yeah.
Are the of course, I think the defenders are kind of more limited on what they can do. I mean, that handball rule is a joke.
It's stupid, yeah.
Right? I mean, you got the hands by the side and somebody kicks it in your hand. It's like, come on, give me
or like even like the Eric Dyer one last week, and like I'm like, bro, like how is he supposed? Like he's like facing back. Like how is he gonna know?
Down onto his arm. It's like,
right?
He's not a penguin, right? You can't just
yeah. Or, like, I mean, like, if I was a coach, too, tactically, if we're losing 1-0 at minute 88, I'd be like, yo, try to bounce the ball off their hands so we can get a penalty.
Well, I mean,
right?
That's what Liverpool did to us.
That was not like that. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Maynard?
I think the handball rule is always going to be controversial because
I
don't care what the rule says. If I'm going against you and it touches your hand, I want that penalty. So it's like, I think they're always going to want to bend the rule for their like favor.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of weird.
It's like open to interpretation, right?
And then like even I think it was last season or the year before in the Champions League, Man U versus PSG. I think it was Kimpembe who jumped, not even facing towards the ball, and then it hit him in his hand, and they called a PK.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yo, that call saved Ollie's career at Man U, man. Shout out to that call because I feel like they would have had Pochettino by now or somebody, and it would have been slightly better. Yeah.
So I think it's always going to be controversial for sure. So I think they can change the rules as much as they want. There's always going to be argument about it.
It is, right? Because, like, I mean, like, before you were thinking of, like, oh, the referees are always making mistakes. They're always making mistakes. They're always – now, oh, VAR with the referees are making mistakes. VAR with the referees are making mistakes.
Wouldn't that be more – you would think, right? Okay, hand to ball is the penalty, right?
Yeah.
Ball to hand. So if you got VAR and as quick as NBC can turn around and show us a replay, you think they could see if there was intent. Right? I mean, if he's standing there like that or he's jumping, again, right, not to kind of go on the Spurs thing, but, the Eric Dyer penalty was the big one that kind of stood out, right?
Yeah.
Back to him. Carroll's leaning into him as they're jumping.
Yeah.
He heads it down on him. It's like that should have been a V.A.R call, not a ref call, to be like, look, the guy had no clue. Right, and common sense needs to come into play.
Yeah, and then like you see that, but then like I see like the Chelsea game where they tied Crystal Palace 3-3, where I can't remember which player bounced off the handoff, but it was the forward, and then they passed it back and then they scored. I'm like, why wasn't that a handball? Right,
it should have been, right, because they say if the ball hits a part of the body that you can't score, and it causes a goal, so call it back.
And like at this rate, there's gonna be like 60 penalties by the end of the season.
I mean, I think that's why Man U fans are pissed off because they changed the rule around, right?
Yeah.
He's not getting the calls. And Lamella, you're an asshole because you got damn Rashford or whoever was sent off, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, payback's a bitch
they're calling it the Man United player Bruno Fernandes now.
I heard about that.
That's hilarious, isn't it?
No, but I just think it's insane how they got that penalty call after the final whistle was blown.
Yeah.
That's just insane to me. Never have you ever seen that before.
Yeah, like imagine I was happy. I was like perfect, like cool, like another top 6 team dropping points. Like as a Liverpool fan, I keep up with it. Not that Man United is going to win the league, but like okay, like let's have them start off horribly. Right, and then you make calls like that, like, which, to be fair, if VAR is gonna be the ruling thing, like, okay, like, I'm okay with stuff like that, but also, like, you have to, like, the margin of error should be lower now that we have VAR, not it be a topic of controversy all the time now.
See, I think it's always, because we're always gonna see it on social media, like, oh, they missed this, they missed that, and I think it's just gonna be the fans of the losing team, or the team who got the penalty called on them. Their fans are always going to be against it. It could have been really unintentional, but then the other team's going to be like, no, it was intentional. Like, I just think it's always going to be a debate about it. So obviously, like you said, the margin of error will go down.
Yeah.
So I think the calls will be okay, but it's just what we see on social media. It's going to be their fans saying, no, it was wrong. So
100%.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Last question that I have for you guys then is let's just touch briefly on the Champions League. I know the draw was last week. Who do you guys see as favorites?
Favorites.
Or has a high potential of winning it?
I don't know. You're always going to see the regulars up there, right?
Yeah.
The regular crowd. You know, I know City tries to throw all their money at the cup. They even bought themselves into the tournament this year.
They really did. Right? They should have had that band.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think it'll be anybody from the Premier League this year for sure.
Really?
Maybe I don't even think Real Madrid or Barcelona at this point. I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if Bayern is 2-time champion. But what I did notice is a lot of the groups, they seem to be evenly distributed.
Yeah.
I think the one group of death would be the
Man U, RB Leipzig, yeah.
Yeah, but then
but you still would favor Man U and PSG over them, right? So.
But then the way Man U's going, RB, they were just in the semifinals, so
yeah, but who
was Werner, but
I personally think it's kind of too early to call, but I would put Bayern, I would put Liverpool up there just because and I would put Barca up there too. I feel like Messi wants to leave Barca. If he does leave, I don't think he's gonna leave on a high note.
Clean it up. I could see them going maybe semifinal again, but I think once they go up against a team like Liverpool or Bayern again, I think.
Yeah, if they go up against those two, yes. Any other team, including PSG in this conversation, I don't think they're better than Barcelona because PSG looks very suspicious in a lot of different areas.
PSG's only good with I don't rate a lot of the PSG players. I don't really rate PSG, to be honest with you. I feel like they're a big fish in a small pond, right?
100%.
You know, and so.
Well, you could kind of say that about Bayern too, though.
You could, but they show up and do the do. Man.
Right.
You know.
They're gonna win 6 titles as well if they win the FIFA Club World Cup.
I just don't see them, and Man U. I think they're on the way down, man. I think they've hit their peak right as Fergie left.
City. I don't think so either. Yeah, you know what's wild? City on their defense has spent over $400 million, and Fenway Sports Group bought Liverpool for $310 million. So they've spent more on their defense than Fenway Sports Group.
$10 million?
Yeah.
How much did Tepa pay to get Charlotte FC and MLS? $3.25.
Well, that was the market back then, and so I mean, think about that. They turned that into it's probably worth 1.2, 1.3 bill at this point.
Buy a team, man.
That's it, man.
$20 on the nose.
We'll buy Sugar Creek FC.
That's right.
Nice. Yeah. Well, awesome. This concludes the second episode of the Top Bin 90 show, boys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks. It was great.